Morning, you can be seated. Happy Mother's Day again. Mom, happy Mother's Day. Where do priests come from? I mean, priests are such mysterious characters that you think, like, how do they raise them, like, on an island off the coast of Africa somewhere? Or, I mean, sometimes people seriously ask me, they're like, so you did this always? You, like, from always, you always did this? No. No. Or is there a laboratory somewhere where petri dishes and priests pop out? Or today, like 3D printing, maybe just pop out. Where does a priest come from? There are lots of events. There's some like special events. For example, one of the first times that I ever really said openly that I was thinking about being a priest was at this thing called the March for Life. Some of you have heard about how people go to Washington, D.C. to march in favor of life. And there's 300,000 Catholics there, and it's a momentous occasion. We're like this thing called NCYC, the National Catholic Youth Conference, or the mother of all those events is called World Youth Day. Anybody ever heard of World Youth Day? If you have, you can raise your hand. World Youth Day, yeah, okay, lots of people have heard of that. The Pope, right, goes to some place, for example, Brazil, whatever, and there's like millions of young Catholics, and then you're there and you're like, maybe I should be a priest. Maybe I should be a nun. Not me, but, you know. A woman might say, maybe I should be a nun. But where do priests come from? Today is Good Shepherd Sunday. Why? Because I just sang about the Good Shepherd in the gospel if you were listening. Good Shepherd Sunday, and it's also Mother's Day. And just so we can have a nice hashtag, let's say, behind every good shepherd is a good mother. Thank you, Mom. You know, whether it's a biological mother or a spiritual mother, behind every good shepherd, certainly. I mean, think of Jesus, the good shepherd. Do you remember that scene from the Gospel of John where he's at the wedding feast in Cana? Remember that? And they run out of wine, which, as we all know, is a gigantic crisis. And Mary says to Jesus, they have no wine. And that line that everybody's like, whoa, what's he saying? Jesus says to her, woman, what does this have to do with me? My hour has not yet come. All haughty, right? Woman! But let me translate it for you in good Kentucky. What he said was, Mama, my time ain't come yet. Now you understand, right? They didn't get it before Father Pascal, but now they get it. Yeah. Y'all just keep with me, you'll understand. So she says then to the servants, right? Do whatever he tells you. Do whatever he tells you. Who's in command in that situation? His mother. And I'll tell you why. Because she knew, when he was talking about my hour, she knew what that meant. It meant, if I reveal myself now, if I do a miracle, it's just a short trip from here to Calvary. There's no turning back. If I reveal myself, I am going to the cross. Are you really ready for that? And what does she say? Do whatever he tells you. Because she's courageous. Our Blessed Mother is a hero, is a heroine. She's a good mother because she's a courageous mother. Can I tell you a story? I don't care if you say no, I'm still going to tell a story. At the turn of the last century, which was called the 20th century for those who were born in the 21st century, the beginning of that, like in the early 1900s, there's my friend Rachel. Hi. How are you doing? We haven't seen each other in a long time. Let me see. So at the beginning of that century, 1900 something, this couple, this Italian couple, Giuseppe and Henrietta, were just married. Anybody here just married? Recently? You were just married? Congratulations. So they were just newly married, and they go off, they decide to immigrate to Argentina. They go to Argentina, and as will happen soon after their marriage, you know what happens soon after a marriage very often? You can fill in the blanks. She gets pregnant, right? And so, which means she's going to have a baby. And so there she is with her panza, the Spanish word for belly, right? You like that? Panza. So it's a difficult pregnancy, and she has to spend like 6 months of the pregnancy bedridden because it's so precarious. Well, she has the baby, thanks be to God, no problems. And they have their bouncing new baby in their arms. But when she goes for the checkup, then the doctor says to her, Henrietta, listen, if you get pregnant again, you will die. I mean, think about that. Here's a new mother to be, right? Yeah, what do you feel right now? Excitement, joy, nervous. I just made you more nervous. Sorry about that. So the doctor says this to her, and all the joy is just eclipsed by this news. And so Henrietta, she's like wandering through the streets of La Plata, Argentina. El doctor me dijo que no puedo. Fill in the blanks. And so as she's wandering the streets, she runs into the auxiliary bishop of that place. And he knows her. And so he says to her, Henrietta, ¿qué te pasa? What's going on? What's wrong? And she's like, Monseñor, usted supiera. And she goes on telling him what's going on, right? And he says, Henrietta, the doctors can be wrong too. You just trust in God, and He'll take care of you. In fact, right now, he says, right now I'm going to go to the shrine of Our Lady of Lujan, and I'm going to offer Mass for you and for your husband and for your family. And you don't worry. And she did it. She stopped worrying. Now, full disclosure here. I live in Nicaragua, and one of my primary assignments, you gave me this job, right? So one of my primary assignments is to work with couples in what is called, this is a bad word. This is a bad word nowadays. It's 3 words, actually. I work in what's called natural family planning. Now, you can all shift in your seats and feel uncomfortable and say, Father Jeff, why did you invite this guy to come talk here? Nobody wants to hear about contraception or any of those things. Well, he invited me, and it's too late to turn back now. So that's what I do, right? And I just want to invite the young couples here to just think a little bit. There's no judgment. This is like what is called Planet Fitness. This is a judgment-free zone, okay? No judgment coming from right here. You probably know the church is teaching about contraception, and I'll leave it at that. If you don't know it, go look it up on the internet. But I just want to invite you to reflect on something, especially the young couples. How much does fear govern your decisions about your family, about the children that you'll have? Like, are you afraid that the world is going to become overpopulated if you have 4 children instead of 2? Are you afraid that if you have 5 children, that you won't ever be able to send them to college, and if you don't send them to college, then they're definitely going to end up on the street? Are you afraid that you're not a good parent? Or that you won't be a good parent for another child? But what does Jesus say? Don't be afraid. You might not be a good parent. That's all right. You're a mediocre parent. You're a parent that's trying. That's all right. Life is messy. Life is complicated. And children make it beautiful and complicated and messy. But beautiful. Just think about that. That's all I'm asking you. Pray. Talk together, husband and wife. And talk about it. What does the Lord want? And then go to prayer. And make a very dangerous prayer. I invite you to say a very dangerous prayer. Say, Lord, do you want more people? Lord, do you want more citizens for heaven? Is this enough? Do you want more? Don't be afraid to ask that question. I know it would be messy and complicated, but life is marvelously complicated with children. Just ask. That's all I'm saying. Just ask and don't be afraid of the answer. We need to be responsible parents. Responsible parenthood is very important. Family planning. That's why the church offers us all kinds of natural methods. I teach the Billings method. It's particularly good, 99.5% effective. So if you want to have whatever, you can determine. That's up to you. It's not up to me. It's not even up to the Pope how many children you're going to have. But it's up to you and God. And you should be honest with him and open. Right? Okay, I'm done. That's it. Now you can relax again. Do you want to hear more about Giuseppe and Henrietta? Okay. Do you think that they dared to have another child? She left that conversation with the bishop all consoled. Do you think they dared to have another child? The truth is that they did. Do you want to guess how many? And if you know, do not raise your hand. Just guess, anybody. 3. Okay. Reasonable. 6. 10. Who said 10? Come on! Somebody that hasn't experienced the world yet. Anybody else more daring than 10? Who? What? 16. Come to the peanut gallery over here. Giuseppe and Henrietta Pironio. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. They had 22 children. I'm not inviting you to have 22 children. I'm not asking you to be like rabbits, except in your selection of salads, carrots, lettuce, that's good. They had 22 children. Because the doctors are not always right. Who holds the future in his hands? Is it Dr. Fulano over there? Is it Dr. Spitzer, Dr. Kline, Who holds the future in his hands is the Lord Jesus. It's not the doctor. I'm not saying be irrational and don't listen to doctors. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying don't think that they know everything. Talk to the Lord. Put that in the Lord's hands. Do you want to know a little bit about number 22? I don't know about 1 through 21, but I know about 22. Now remember, every good shepherd comes from a good mother. 22, number 22. His name is Eduardo Francisco Pironio. Can you all say that? Eduardo Francisco Pironio. Come on, you can do it. Eduardo Francisco Pironio. So you can go Google it later and realize that I'm not lying to you. It's really true. Eduardo Francisco Pironio, number 22, is father, or was, Father Eduardo Francisco Pironio. He became a priest. He became a good shepherd. He became such a good shepherd that they named him to be the auxiliary bishop of La Plata, Argentina. Which is exactly the same position that man held that ran into to Henrietta and said to her, Tranquila, everything's going to be all right. He took over that position. He even wore the pectoral cross of the same bishop. And then he was such a good shepherd that they called him to Rome. And do you know whose attention he caught? The popes. The Pope's name at that time was Pope Paul VI. Who is now Saint Pope Paul VI, Do you know that saints have sins? Saints are sinners too. St. Paul VI asked Bishop Eduardo Francisco Pironio to be his personal confessor. So number 22 became the personal confessor to the Pope. Every week he would go and listen to the sins of the Pope and then forgive the Pope for his sins. Number 22, because a little 18-year-old girl was brave and courageous and a good mother. And that wasn't all. When Paul VI died, John Paul I came along. He died after 33 days. And then John Paul II came along, and John Paul II also was like, who is this dude? Pironio. And John Paul II says, Pironio, because that's how he talked, right? Polish. Yeah. Pironio, you will be the head of the Pontifical Council for the Family and Laity. So he became a cardinal. He was named Cardinal Francisco Eduardo Pironio, a prince of the church, and he has this huge congregation that he's responsible for, this huge group in the Vatican. And then, one day he's talking with John Paul II, and he says, Holy Father, why don't we have some event? I don't know. Some event where we take all of the young people from the whole world, because Latinos love to think like, nothing is ever enough for a good Latino, right? You know what I'm saying? It's always got to be bigger. Why don't we take all the youth from the whole world and put them all in one place at the same time? And he did. And the Pope was like, that's a good idea, Pironio. And that's how World Youth Day began. Because of number 22. Cardinal Edward Francisco Cardinal Pironio. Because a brave little mother said yes to the Lord. And said yes to life. And said yes to the complications and you want to talk about complications, have 22 children. And she said yes to all of that. Wow. What the Lord will do with a little bit of generosity and a little bit of courage. Because behind every good shepherd is a good mother.